Yeah, welcome back to another video. I hope you can all hear me all good. Um, this video is going to be things I wish I knew sooner with trading. All right. The first things first. Um, just make sure you, at least like I said, I'll say in all my videos, at least comment on this video, share it around, whatever you do. You don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, any of that, but just share it around. Let people help me understand how to go about this right way. I'm new to all this sort of stuff, but I'm getting the hang of it. So, first things first, cut off toxic people. That can be both friends, family, or just an environment that you are in. Now, if you have toxic friends, of course, we all know toxic people. We're in a world full of 8 billion people. Of course, there's going to be good. Of course, there's going to be some bad people too. But it's important to cut off people that do not serve you for your own good, for your best good. All right, you need to make sure that you are in an environment where you can at least just calm down, de-stress, or if you're with people, whether it is friends or family. Look, we don't always have to get along with our friends. We don't always have to honor our, like we don't always have to essentially like serve everybody that we don't really want to be around. If that makes sense. Like if you can't be around someone, then that's it. It is what it is. Cut off and remove those certain people from your life because trust me, it'll only slow you down. Second thing is don't tell anybody that you're beginning trading. Um, and do not share your profits because even if you do, you're obviously starting off on trading. The thing is that you shouldn't tell people that you're doing it. And I know it's cool to tell your friends and tell your family and tell people around you that you haven't even met before, and they're like, oh, what are you doing with your life? And you're like, oh, I'm beginning to trade. You're gonna have all different people. When I started trading, I'm not gonna lie, I had people that supported me. I had people that said they supported me, but maybe they did, maybe they didn't. And I had people that were obviously against me. Now, some people were doing it for, what they say they were doing it for, your own good. But the difference is that you are your own person. You will do whatever you want to do. If you are willing to take a risk in life, that's what trading is, a very long game. You're not going to get the hang of it. Very few people get the hang of it in under 6 months. Typically it takes most people at least within their after their first year, going into their second year. It's a lot of people, 90 or 80% of people start to actually make proper money. Then obviously as you go on throughout the next years, obviously you're just going to get better and better. You're going to understand more and more about it. Um, but yeah, do not tell people that you are beginning to trade, even if that is friends that you do have, then that you do enjoy because they are positive, or even if that is positive family. Like, it's best to not tell people because when people tell you how you should do something or what they think of you doing that, they're not telling you for what they think you should be doing. They're telling you what they would do. So it's like you can't get validation from people that can't quite, in a sense, do that themselves. That makes sense. Like, very few people can actually begin to trade and actually have a decent go at it, because trust me when I say this, that is true. That from what I've seen over my trading experience, I've seen trading break people, I've seen trading make people, I've seen trading turn people's lives from shit to shit up, but I've seen trading turn people's lives from bad to really really good. And believe me when I say, trading is a phenomenal way to live, because as a day trader, you can be here and you can make money. You can be there, you can make money. You can go over the other side of the freaking world and you can make as much money as you can. Not as you want, because at the end of the day, it's like there is no guaranteed results. But I hope that makes sense. So don't tell people you're starting to trade, because there's going to be mixed opinions and you're going to get confused of what you truly want. All right. The third thing is journaling. Trust me when I say journaling is one of the most, I cannot express it enough. Journaling is the most, probably at least in the top three most necessary things in trading. Because if you are trading and you are sitting here making the same mistakes and when you're in the game of trading, you're sort of sitting on the markets all day, especially learning and stuff. You're sort of sitting here like thinking like, how can you improve? But then you get stuck on a lot of the ways because you sort of get stuck on needing to learn more strategies, more more markets to trade on, or certain things. Just you're trading all day. Like it's not a good habit to be in, but um, you sort of get lost in it all. So journaling is the best thing because you can actually sit down and look at what you've done wrong. And even though, yes, it is annoying having to journal every single trade, every time you press buy or sell, you should journal that. Um, and if you can't journal that because if you only journal your wins and not your losses, you're not going to get anywhere. If you're journaling your losses instead of your wins, is probably a better option, but you should journal everything because you will see improvements. It's as basic as it is because at the end of the day, you're seeing where you're going wrong and you're not all flooded, pardon me, and you're not all over, your mind's not all over the place when you know what I mean, when you're trading, sitting on the charts and you're trading real money or real capital. It's hard to sort of think logically, especially as a beginner. You sort of get lost in what you should do, what all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't really know if I should, need to make it too um, detailed or complicated. It's as simple as it is. But the fourth thing is risk to reward. Now, risk to reward is absolutely a killer. All right. So when I first started to trade, well, I didn't. I knew of risk to reward. We've all heard of risk to reward. We've all heard of risk management, all this sort of stuff. Um, but you know what? It is probably more important than you can possibly realize because, like, when you're trading, it's a lot of, especially as a beginner, it's normal. For example, this is not a real trade. This is just an example. I'm just gonna mark something out as literally just as a demonstration. Let's come here. Let's say, all right, cool. We're at the top here. Um, let's get rid of all that stuff. We're gonna come here and let's say that, all right, well, you don't know, you're new to trading. You see this, you see, oh, it might come down. Boom, you might get lucky and go for a 1 to 3.38. You might get lucky and go for a 1 to 5.6. But understanding certain things in trading is one of the main things you should understand or should actually incorporate is at least a fixed risk reward. So you shouldn't, or at least a minimum thing. But I prefer a fixed risk reward. So if I'm to take a trade, I will not take anything under a 1 to 2 because taking a 1 to 2, if I win this trade, cool, then I'm up 2 risk to reward, you should say, because you're up, you've made double your loss. But then you can't just go ahead here and also then come here and then only go for a 1 to 1 and then the next trade you take a 1 to 1, whatever, because then you're only making like the same amount as what you're willing to risk, if that makes sense. So when you're taking 1 to 2, you're doubling you're doubling what you could make from what you are risking, if that makes sense. So it's important to have a fixed risk to reward, but if the way you trade does work better for a 1 to 1, that's better. You should go and stick to a 1 to 1 because then going for a 1 to 2 with however you trade may not work. Maybe a 1 to 1 does work better. Some people are actually way more profitable with a 1 to 1. Some people are more profitable with a 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. I stick to a 1 to 2, like I said, because it works better. It's what works for my system that I have in place. And it's just what I prefer. I love being able to, to risk, like say $500 and make 1,000 or make 1,500 in one trade. Like, bro, that's pretty cool to be able to do that. Also, I haven't got it here, but you should also understand different time frames. So different time frames are very important because if you don't have much time on your hands and you sort of want to be more of a laid back trader, maybe go to the dailies. When you're sort of looking at all that, like we've all heard of the higher time frame analysis. I don't need to go into all that. You should know what that is, or you'll hear about it. But if you want to if you want to trade but you don't have much time, or maybe you are working and it probably might work better for you to actually trade on a higher time frame because then you're not like staying up till super late just so you can monitor your trade in a lower time frame. At least here on 1 hour, each candle takes an hour to go. or you're on the 4 hour, each candle takes 4 hours to create a new candle. So it means that by the time you place that trade, you've got at least 4 hours to sit back, relax, and I'm sure you can figure a way around that. I trade on the 1 minute because I pretty much trade, full time every single day. So, well, not every single day, but um, just what works for me. I do obviously look at the 5, 15, and the 1, but those are my main ones. Also, the fifth thing is um, I guess you can call it the 1-1-1 rule, right? You should stick to one strategy, stick to one pair, and at least have one trade a day. Why one trade a day? Well, I this is my experience, but I've found that that having one trade a day will save you so much money, because if you, for example, if we were up here again and we were to take this trade and we were to come in, cool, mark all that out, for example, boom, take this trade, we're in for a winning trade, right? We've hit a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 1, whatever. But then we've won this trade. Now we get overconfident. Now we get in the point where we feel like, oh, well, I've won this trade, I can win every single other trade. And as a beginner, you sort of get lost in what is a good setup or what you shouldn't take or all that sort of stuff. But if you were to go then there again, but you're to take another trade, but like, oh, well, maybe you got stopped out here. So like, you need to understand that if you're up for the day, cool, you're up for the day, leave it at that. If you have lost for the day, cool, you've lost for the day, just leave it at that. If you are going to trade, it's better. If you're going to trade more than once a day, if you do have a real account that you do trade with, even if that is a prop firm or a live account of your own, just stick to one trade a day, because, like I said, you get in these moments where you spiral. You make a profit, but then you trade more, you lose profit, then you go downhill, and then you lose all the profit that you did make. And it is not a good habit to get in. Same with when you lose a trade, you sort of like, oh, I can make more, in the opposite sense, but then you start losing more and more and more. It's just how it works. It's just how it is. It's just how it always will be with the markets. So one trade a day, stick to one strategy, and get good at that. Get good at understanding how that strategy works, where your best entries are, where your best stop loss is, where you're going to get stopped at the least, and what your risk to reward you should go for with that strategy. Understanding certain market conditions with that strategy, and what essentially, like, that falls into number 6, like, know when not to trade. Like, for example, you've got to understand market structure, price action, market structure, all the same thing, but you've got to understand that with certain market structure, it's going to affect your trading differently. Some days you will see completely choppy markets where there is no trend. It's literally just up, down every single candle. It's not a good market to be in. You should probably stay away those days. And also understand that however you trade, I trade breakouts, but as a breakout trader, I know I should probably not trade into. I mean, that's not overall too bad, but I should not trade into, especially range bound markets. Now, what are range bound markets? Really simple. It's pretty much just a large point of consolidation, I call it. So if you see a range like this where it's just stuck in a range, probably stay away from that sort of stuff, especially if it is really, really bad. Like that, there is always, better cases, there's always worse cases, but just know what time or what point you shouldn't trade, and also understand that what days you shouldn't trade either. So if you're in America, the days you should probably stay away from is typically, I think it's Sunday over there that the market's actually open back up for the new week. So stay away from Sundays. Do not go near a Sunday market. Trust me, it'll kill your trading. Stay away from Sundays. Let the market sink in for the new week. Let it do its thing. It's always going to be very sporadic for the Sunday. Over here, your Sunday is a Monday for us in Australia. So stay away from those days. It'll also kill your trading. Do not do that. But also, that falls into the seventh thing. Know when to de-risk. So like I said, if you are to trade for the first day back of the week, if you do trade a Sunday, at least de-risk. But I highly suggest you do not trade a Sunday from someone that obviously I trade full time, but I also understand that trading on a Sunday is the worst thing. Um, and so know when to de-risk certain positions, certain trades, same thing. And going break even will save you so much more than you can think. So if you're here, let's actually go back to, let's come back to here. All right, and let's come back and we'll go back to um, some of these trades. Now, let's come back here. We'll say this point here. I think that's just all glitched out. I don't know what's going on there. But last month in May was a phenomenal month for me trading. I did take a couple losses, only like two or three, but they were um, even actually it was like less than that. It was only like one or two because uh, essentially like when I go break even, I sometimes it counts as a loss, sometimes it doesn't, just because of spreads and stuff like that. You'll learn all that, but it was a very phenomenal month. Literally, I was actually wishing that I was starting to lose, but then last week I had a horrible week for the first month of June. So I'm like, fuck, now I just want to win again. So like it messes with your psychology when you're on a win streak because you get lost in you're always gonna win, but you're not always gonna win. It's not how it works. But anyway, where are we? So um, yeah, I was gonna try and show you an example, but pretty much just know when not to trade. You need to know when to de-risk, all that sort of stuff. And going break even. Also, um, taking partials. If you're in a trade, it is a phenomenal thing. It is probably the best thing to actually come and to take partials out of your trade, because if you are in profit but you're not 100% sure that it's going to keep going down, and you sort of that's why if you're on forex and you're with a live broker and you're going to risk a certain amount, you need to understand that taking partials, which the best way you can do that through a broker is to split up your positions. If you're going to risk, say, 5 lots or 1 lot, say you're risking 1 lot, you can split it up into two minis, so that you got you open 5 2 mini positions, meaning you're in for 1 lot, but you can also close out certain things, locking in profits along the way. That's another key thing. Also, risk management is also a really quick thing I want to go over. Risk management. I'm just reading it here. What I've got written down. Risk management. I can't even understand my own writing. But as a beginner, you should understand that risk management is very important. You can't just go risking on a 1 to 2. Say you do win for a 1 to 2, but you're risking, let's say you're risking $10. You're risking $10 per call. You just made $20. Now, from let's say your $20 account, you're just risking $10. You made $20. Call you up. Your account should be at $50 now. But then you go ahead and you take another trade. For example, this is not a real setup that I would take. It's a demonstration. Boom, you go ahead, take another trade, but you decide to risk 20 on this trade because you just made 20. Now you're risking 20 to make 40, but you lose this trade. So you're still aiming for a 1 to 2, but because of your risk management, you've just lost twice as what you would have made in this 1 to 2, meaning that this 1 to 2 is effectively effectless. Does that make sense? So basically, understanding risk management along with risk to reward and having one strategy, one pair, and one trade a day will always come out on top. And also, finally, I want to go over prop firm trading benefits compared to trading on a live account. Now, trading on a live account can be good. The only thing is, yes, you are risking your own capital, you are risking your own money. Trading with a prop firm, it is benefits. You can pay with forex prop firms. You're paying like $500 for a 50k account. It's ridiculous. If you go into on their rules are just like absolutely absurd. So many rules for their prop firms. But you go over to the futures prop firms. If you go over to the futures prop firms, like you got Top Step, Traderfly, Lucid, all that good stuff. You got Redline futures. They're all awesome prop firms to trade on, and they have very few rules. They're literally top set. Only rules you need to worry about realistically is your consistency rule. It's 50% consistency. Your daily loss limit doesn't necessarily, you don't have to choose a daily loss limit, but you can, and it's like $10 cheaper or something. But you have a daily loss limit and your maximum loss limit. So basically, with the consistency rule, you got to follow that. So you pretty much can't lose if you're on a 50K account. You can't lose, for example, $2,000. You got to make $3,000, but per day you can't make any more than $1,500 because of the consistency rule. Hope that makes sense. But once again, their accounts are so much cheaper. You can pick up a top step account for less than $100, and it's got pretty much like a tenth of the rules compared to what a forex prop firm would have. It's so good. Prop firms with futures are phenomenal. But that's it. That's pretty much what I wanted to go over. And I hope that makes sense. I hope plenty of people watch this so they can actually understand, because I tried to go in detail as much as possible without freaking this video going on for 12 hours. So hope that's it, boys. Yeah, I'll see you all when I see you next. Peace out.